If you're ready, we can go ahead and hit record. Okay, hit record. Whenever you're ready, go ahead and take one.
Hi, this is Jason Bahamoni from RunTryMag.com, and you are listening to Vroom Vroom Beer with Jeff Smith, and I want you to go touch grass.
Oh. I want to go touch grass. All right, that was perfect. I'm going to hit stop. I'll be right back.
Are you ready to thoughtfully steer away from your revved up, frenzied, and far too often scripted life? Then welcome to Vroom Vroom Veer with Jeff Smith, where he guides you down the road differently traveled by sharing unique experiences with guests who have managed to shift away from a life stuck on cruise control and veered their way into a more authentic and fulfilling one in all sorts of interesting and kind of remarkable ways. Get ready to Vroom Vroom Veer with your differently traveled road chauffeur, Jeff Smith.
Brigitte Cutshall, thank you so much for being on Vroom Vroom Veer and welcome to the show. How's it going?
It's going awesome. And thank you so much for the invite. I'm surviving this heat wave that we're all experiencing, but thank God for air conditioning. Right?
Yes. I feel
when you
so.
have it?
I have it and it works. I overbought AC in Vegas. I think if you want to go big with your air conditioning. So it's a little bit too big, and I like it that way. Yes. I paid extra. I'm on the $300 a year plan, so that means they come and do the inspection twice a year. I did the math. You know, you have to change the filter anyway.
Right.
And that's going to cost you whatever. And that whatever approaches a couple $100. So I'm like, now I don't have to do that. Now I don't know. Somebody comes out and does that twice a year. So
right.
Yes.
That's important. We're just lucky that we have AC.
Right. Amen. Yes. There's a deeper conversation there, but yes, we need AC for sure. Yes. Okay, so you are Brigitte Cutshall. You're at Gemini Media. So talk a little bit about what you're most excited about in your business today.
Well, Gemini Media I started it based on some inspiration and I should say motivation from some clients to do my own thing. And I'm one of those people, I take my knowledge for granted, right? And I didn't think about but we just don't think about the value that we can add to other people. And my background has been in publishing and print production and marketing and communications and all that stuff. Because I'm good at this. If you can't,
you're good at talking. I gotcha.
Right. And good at communicating. And that's something that my clients said they needed some help with. And so in the past, I've been mostly focused on the print media aspect.
Right. Okay.
And because that's still important, I think ink on paper is still very important. And they needed help with that because technology is changing in every industry. And so I understand all the ins and outs of our industry, but it's constantly, you got to be open to learning. And then that's something that Gemini is doing. I'm also helping people, not just with their print media, but to also help with repurposing that content. Right.
Okay.
That's really what it is. And it just depends on like podcasting that we're doing right now. This wasn't that popular 10 years ago.
Right.
But now it's a great way to get your message out there. And a lot of people like to listen.
Right.
And
it's a lot.
Then they're learning different. Everybody's brains are different. They learn different ways.
Yeah. And it's different times and different things. It's like, okay, what do I do in the car? Right. I can't read a book when I'm in the car, but I need something to do. Right. Or a sneaky thing to do while I'm pretending I'm working. I can listen to a podcast. Did it a lot.
That's true.
I actually had my, I worked in the government, strangely enough, and the Amazon was not blocked by the corporate firewall, so I could read Kindle books while I was pretending to work. Yeah, that was great.
And everything is just technology is changing everything, but I try to embrace it and try to figure out how to make it work for me and my clients and how to you got to understand how it works. Don't be afraid of it because that's, change is normal. That's how I see things.
Yeah, for sure.
And we were really ticked off in the industry about Amazon. Okay.
Right. Okay.
We were ticked off, but now it's open. They open the doors, the gates, whatever, to have more people produce their own books.
thing. Yeah, for sure.
Right. That's kind of how I had to look at it. So yeah. So I'm able to help people who want to do it, but they don't know what to do.
Sure.
That's really what it is.
I think it's easier to make a book now than it ever was.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And you can help with that, you know? Like I always said, if I ever got crazy enough to want to write a book, I wouldn't write the book. I would just do what we're doing now. I would just hire somebody to talk to me and then record those conversations and turn that into a book.
Very popular. It's basically called ghostwriting.
Okay.
You have an interview with a writer, multiple interviews or conversations, and then they take your idea and put it together for you.
And it's like a combination of direct quotes and paraphrasing, right?
Yes.
I think my favorite ever ghost written book was the Real Frank Zappa book.
Oh, I don't think I read that one. The Real Frank Zappa, huh? That sounds cool.
If you're a Frank Zappa fan, I mean, I dug it, right? And Frank Zappa is such an intriguing character, you know, because like you could say, oh, he was really funny and he was an amazing musician. But then you get into that, you talk to people that actually worked with him and he's kind of an asshole, right? But he's not an asshole that like your typical asshole. He just wants things to be right. As an artist, right?
Yes.
And he'll come and pat you on the back and say, thanks for the hard work later, but get it right.
Get it right.
Get it right. Yeah.
My kids probably think I'm that way. I'm just kidding.
I think that's okay though. Like striving for excellence is important, and you can do it in a way that doesn't hurt feelings. I think that comes around.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's true. And I think that's what helped me in the field, because I give feedback that's not offensive. Try not to give feedback.
Right.
Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Because you need that. You need to be open to that. And that's how you're going to improve your product or whatever you're trying to make.
Yeah,
right?
You have to strive for excellence. Nobody wants you to just kick out crap.
Like meh. Right. You want it to be meh.
Because nobody's going to show up for meh. You know?
No.
and the thing is I learned something about like massage. Okay. And this massage metaphor is sort of like you could add it to just about everything in life. It's like the 80-20 rule, right? So 80% of my massages that I gave to other people as a massage therapist were meh, right? They didn't hate it and they didn't love it, right?
Right.
But even when massage isn't awesome, it's still pretty good. It's like pizza.
Yes.
You can get away with meh in massage. But I would say like 20% of my massages, people were like, get away from me. You know, I don't want you to ever touch me again.
Really?
And another 20%, probably the same 20%, were like, oh my God, you're the best ever. I want you for every massage, you know? So you just don't know. It's like a connection thing with massage.
It is. It's definitely a connection. Got to find that common denominator.
Something, you know, and it wasn't like I was doing anything different.
And it depends on their personality of the client. That has a lot to do with it. You got to be able to adapt and adjust.
Right. Anyway, let's move on. So this is Vroom Vroom Veer. We have to go back in time and talk about Brigitte's life and what she went through to get to where she is now. And there's a couple of cancers. Maybe there's some chemo. Maybe there's some weed. We don't know.
Yeah.
But we're going to find out.
I've had a weird, I think about it and reflect on it. I had a kind of a weird life. Like I mentioned before the recording, I'm a military brat.
Right.
I joke, we moved around a lot, and I was like, I am not going to marry a military guy because the environment I was around. And
you knew.
Thank God. But I appreciate what I learned from it now, reflecting on that. And then my mom was married several times. And so that's one of the reasons that it just affected their marriage. And I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it affected their marriage. And my second father, or my second husband, I never said, I got kicked out of the house when I was 18, or excuse me, before I was 18.
Wow.
Because he had PTSD from Vietnam and all that. And I won't tell you he was just always berating me because my mom had moved out and they got divorced. And so I was taking I didn't realize, I
You
was
were
taking
kind
all
of
that
like
stuff.
the
So I told him-
stand-in for her to take.
I was taking it. So I told him
Wow.
what to do, and I stood up for myself.
Good
right?
for you.
And then my friend, it was 3 months before graduation. I lived with my really good friend. Her parents took me in. And so that helped me. My mom's third husband, he's one that really had a lot to do with making me have some confidence.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
And he was a West Pointer.
Oh, wow.
And as Special Forces, 82nd Airborne. So I
Holy
joke.
cow.
I wrote a book about him too. He passed away. Anyway, I joked that his Special Forces training came in handy to handle me and my sister.
I bet. Special Forces guys are unique.
Yes, he's
unique in the military even too.
Right. And
it's weird that he was Special Forces and Airborne because usually they fight. Just so you know.
Yes, and that's what he did. He wanted to do everything. He was a ranger. He did everything.
Oh, he was a ranger too. Special Forces, Ranger, and Airborne. Those are the three big. Those are the big three in the army.
Yes, he did all those, and then he met my mother. Then he met my mother, right? And they just needed each other, because she found someone that calmed her down. I'm just saying too much, but I learned so much from the relationship. At first, I didn't like him. Imagine that, because he was in the military.
Right. You already had a model for not liking people in the military. Another military guy. What are you doing?
And
can't you learn, Mom? Yes.
Right. That's what I said. Trust me. But he had such a good perspective, and he made me feel better about myself. And he bought me my first car.
Oh, wow.
He bought me my first car, and he made sure it was a stick shift, so I knew how to drive any kind of car. And
yeah, good for him.
So then I finally, because they moved around a lot, I knew I couldn't go with them, and that's when I eventually met my future husband, who was the 82nd Airborne. And he was brave because my stepfather was company commander, which I thought was hilarious. But he loved him. They loved each other. And I transferred to University of Wisconsin. That's kind of how I got up there to be by my boyfriend, who ended up marrying
hubby.
And so I think, looking back on all that, I needed these really big guys to protect me, apparently. I'm a little wild.
Geminis, I love it. We have two Geminis.
Wild, right?
This is going to be a wild podcast. I already love it. It's great.
So anyway, I just kind of knew I don't know. He always wanted something about me when he met me, right? So we've been together. My stepfather, they connected really well. And then my future husband got out of the military and went back to Wisconsin. That's kind of how I moved around a lot still. So I finally got my stuff together when I graduated college and got into the, book production and publishing industry. And we moved to Georgia, and we love it down here. And we weren't going to have kids. We ended up I was the first one to get married in the family, the last one to have kids, but it was a great experience raising 2 boys, right? But during all that, I did a lot of traveling. I was a female in the industry, which was unusual.
Right.
Okay. I wasn't afraid of that, being in that. I was like marketing person for North America for Heidelberg, which invented the printing press.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. I was the only female that was in the United States that was not a secretary. And I'm not kidding, but that's how it was. And over 20 years ago.
Wow. That's so sad to think about that. Yes.
Right. But I enjoyed it but then I got a little too much attention sometimes. But anyway, we had our kids, and I decided I
took a lot of crap in the military because I had a traditional female role.
Oh, did you really?
Kind of. Yeah, kind of. Like I started out as what I would call like a Radar O'Reilly in the Air Force.
Okay.
You remember Radar from MASH, right? Like
yes,
the company clerk. So
yes.
So it was strange because everybody says that is like, oh, you're going to be a secretary, right? And most of the people in my tech school class, as they called us admin specialists, and we literally, our whole 6 weeks of tech school for the military, we sat next to a typewriter every day and we typed every day, right? So that was basically our job, was to type memos and stuff.
Someone has to do it.
There were other things, right? Mostly dudes. there were all kinds of derogatory terms that got flung at us.
And that's right. And that's,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that. And
No. I mean,
that's
we
when
had radar, so it was like, okay, whatever.
radar,
and we
and
worked
someone
for the
had to-
commander, so it didn't really matter.
I had to send the messages somehow, but
messages.
kind of like,
Yep.
but my bit, right. It was derogatory, trust me, there's stuff I don't want to share with you anyway about in the business I've been in. And I delivered faxes too, by the way, before I got into that. Oh my God. Faxes were a big deal. And,
oh yeah.
and I had to hand deliver them to the executives, but Bridget would like read them before confidential. Sorry, but wouldn't you?
I have to go ahead and read this first. Yes,
we're curious.
Yeah,
I never said what was on there, but it was. I'm glad they saw that I had potential, right, and not just
So did you start out as like an admin assistant or something?
I was in the beginning in the business.
Wow.
I was I would type. I would have to type, and I would deliver faxes because that's big deal back then.
Oh yeah, faxes were huge because it was kind of like an immediate. It had an immediacy.
Yes, and so that's
so when you got a fax, it wasn't just like a letter or something. It was important.
Correct.
Right.
And then after that, they got me into dealing with helping with going client account management kind of stuff and dealing with the clients. And that's when they realized that I was good with people and not just helping in an office. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
And
so somebody saw that. Somebody had the foresight to see that.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then that's when I helped with the run an office here in Atlanta. That was one of my first roles, not in after I graduated college, like an office manager, which is a little different.
Yeah.
But you still had to deal a lot with, you dealt with everything, finances, and you had to run the office.
Totally.
And then the client, a little bit of everything. And then I realized, I wanted to get into a sales role. And
okay.
I just because I liked it.
So what do you study in college? Did you study marketing?
I studied
business or sales?
Business, but marketing and economics.
Okay.
I thought about doing finance, but I wanted the backhanded way. Marketing was a way for me to get into writing. I like to write.
Gotcha.
That's what it was.
Right.
And that's why I wanted to be in sales because I would have dealt with the big publishers in New York. And my boss at the time told me that I was a girl and I wouldn't be successful. So I'm like, I gave him basically the middle finger.
Good for you.
Right?
Good for you.
I gave him and I got a job with a big publisher.
All right. In sales?
Yeah, right. Well, I more of account management role in the beginning, but I dealt.
That kind of almost is sales, account manager.
Almost in sales.
It's
Eventually,
almost
I did get into it.
Yeah.
But my boss that I had, they're now part of Random House. I'm sure you've heard of them.
Okay.
Yeah, but my role this was a publisher back then. They had their own printing equipment. People don't realize that's what publishers used to do. They had their own equipment.
Okay.
And so they had.
So they were printers and publishers.
Right. They are a publisher, but they produce their own material rather than outsourcing it. And that's it, again, that was the
different world.
Technological kind of thing. And so my role was to get people to print more stuff with this company. And one of my clients they gave me was like IBM. So, but my new boss, he loved it. He goes, I like your attitude as a girl. And he said, you're very
as a girl. Keep pointing that out, by the way.
But he thought it was great.
Okay.
He thought it was good. He thought it was an advantage. And
so
the people I worked with, my clients at IBM were the women, right? And so they liked that. And I remember one of the meetings, all these memories are coming back. I brought my son with me, and I didn't have for some reason, my babysitter, he was 2, couldn't help that day. And they're like, you can bring your son in. So I remember going to IBM with the 2-year-old.
Wow.
But that's why I thought it was great that we found women that would support each other. And now I don't know if I would do that now, but so we kept my son occupied. But so it just showed that I had the tenacity just to be Brigitte.
Yeah.
And make it through. And then that's when eventually Heidelberg saw that. And that was a big deal to work. They saw that I can handle it. And that's why I was working with the management in Germany to help run North America stuff.
Oh, wow.
And so I was marketing for them, or product management. Is that a better word?
I don't know.
So that was there's so many different terms now.
Sure.
But I thought it was, and they thought it was kind of funny that I had to go to Germany to understand how the equipment worked to help write the content and, to help market it. And
not really, but Germany's awesome.
They were, but then the guys there, they're like, don't touch that equipment. You're a girl. It was just, I still have to deal with that stupid shit. Excuse my language.
No, but, please swear all you like.
And I was just like, really? Because I'm one of those, I'm a tactile person.
Okay.
And I wanted to, and they did point out certain areas, don't touch on the equipment. I could get hurt. I think maybe because they weren't speaking English properly to me.
Right.
But I understood the German because my mother's French. So I kind of understood German a little. Anyway, that helped. And then eventually I got into a what do you call it? A startup that changed the industry. They brought me in because of my reputation. So I helped with this new startup. They were bought out. Everybody's just buying everybody up. Right. So I helped deal with these big corporate clients with their publishing needs. Okay. That's kind of what it was.
So what sorts of things does like a company like IBM, what are they publishing other than like technical manuals?
Now they're not doing it, but back then they were doing books back then. They were doing books.
Okay, real books.
Wow. They were doing that, and I was helping them because they didn't understand. They're a tech company. They didn't understand that. And they were trying to get kids to understand computers. That's really what it was.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
And so they needed help with that. And the other stuff I helped with marketing, material. And a lot of my clients were, marketing by, VPs of marketing and were different. But it's changed constantly. And then you had ebooks come out, which was fine.
Right.
And because some people, it's just constantly changing. So I learned to adapt, and I've learned that my people skills, I didn't know I had that. I guess it's kind of a way salespeople, business development is what they call it now rather than sales.
Right.
And I guess you're kind of an entertainer too, in a way, Jeff.
Yeah, totally. Yes. You're the guy that wants to go out and like party with people and then and not talk about business at all. And then at the end you go, oh, by the way, we got to sign the contract.
Right. And that's kind of what it was. It was entertaining people
the wine and dine kind of idea.
That's what it was. And now it's a little different now with COVID, but I helped grow that other company. We got big deals, like Newell Rubbermaid and have you heard of Newell Rubbermaid? And
I've heard of Rubbermaid.
I can't even remember. They all these retail, shouldn't call them retail, but the products that they're selling that they need help with the marketing. And
sure.
I just understood it's my marketing experience came in to help and how to get the content out there to help them the best way to do it. And that's when I got cancer the first time. I think when I was with that company as an independent contractor, I got cancer the first time.
Yikes! What kind of cancer?
It was breast cancer, and my sons were 8 and 11, but we only found it I knew something wasn't right. I'm a curious person, and so they found it was early stage, and so I had to have some minor surgery, but then we ended up doing like radiation. And so that kind of that was a slowdown for a little bit. My son saw their mom, they're 8 and 11 at the time. And so I was brave and smiled all the time for them. But then it was,
radiation's no joke. That's hard to go through, right?
It is. Right.
Yeah.
And then
it's rough.
3 years later is when they discovered I had this rare primary brain tumor. Because again,
what?
Yes, I have it's called a vestibular schwannoma. Sometimes it's called an acoustic neuroma. Depends. It's where you have the tri nerves, where you have your facial, your hearing, and your balance nerve. And so mine is pushing on my vestibular nerve, but I knew something wasn't right. And I saw doctors. I had this weird pain, and they just wanted to give me pain medicine. I'm like, no, I'm like, something is not right. And so we discovered.
Yikes.
It was my breast cancer doctor who said, let's do a MRI of your brain to check out your pituitary. which
Okay.
controls your hormones. That's when they discovered that other big thing. And again, I'm like,
How big is this tumor? Because brain tumor sounds like dun dun dun.
It was scarier than.
Yeah.
And what it is, the size of it was medium, meaning something had to be done, meaning it could cause, it's not considered, it's been considered benign, but it's primary, meaning it starts there in that the root cause of that kind of tumor, Jeffrey, is caused by usually radiation exposure. Well, think about it. As a kid, I grew up around military bases.
Oh, wow.
And that's what they thought as a child. You're exposed to something like that.
That's scary.
And your body slowly accommodated to this growth. That's why I didn't know it was going on.
Wow.
And so I had that. And then I saw 6 different specialists because they didn't know, there was nobody
Super
in
rare.
Atlanta that
Right.
knew what to do. So
right.
I found a specialist in Chicago at Northwestern University Hospital.
Okay.
So he helped me. And I ended up dealing with the surgery. If I had the surgery to remove it because of the location, the size, I could have been paralyzed. Like,
oh my God.
Isn't that exciting? So you're like,
wow, the options.
One doctor was really pushing the surgery. And I learned from that issue or the meeting with him, I was by myself. Don't ever go to a doctor by yourself because I'm hearing half of what he was telling me because you're so freaked out.
Yeah. And your brain is off as soon as he says,
literally,
this could happen or that could happen. And you're tuned out. You're just,
and at the time, my boys were 3 years later, they were like 11 and 14. And you're like, oh my God. Right. And so I didn't know what to do. So I remember driving home from that appointment, and I heard Coldplay play a song, a new one called I Will Fix You. You ever heard that song?
Yeah.
And that gave me hope. I know that sounds, but it gave me hope. And I remember I was crying when that song was playing because it gave me, I'm like, yeah, you're right. He's going to fix, is this God talking to me?
Right. He's going to fix you.
That's what I thought.
Wow.
And then we didn't tell our sons right away. And that same or the next day, my husband and I were at the gas station with the boys, and I saw a rainbow in the sky pointing towards our neighborhood. And that to me was another sign. So I knew I was going to be okay. And I ended up choosing a neurosurgeon. When I asked him, would you do this surgery for your wife? He said no, but I knew I could trust him because he wasn't about the money. He was one of the top ranked neurosurgeons in Atlanta, but so we ended up doing CyberKnife. So he's been monitoring it, and it shrunk, thank God. But then it's still, my hormones are still like wacky because I had a tiny tumor on my pituitary that was caused from all this craziness.
Right.
And ended up, the breast cancer came back.
Oh my goodness.
Right. 2014. So this was 8 years later, it came back. But it's because the stuff in the hormones and the brain tumor, even though it shrunk, it was still active.
Still there.
So that's kind of why I got really into understanding how your body works and nutrition. I really got into that, understand how I can help myself heal, because I knew I have to be a part of it. I can't just think a doctor's going to do it. I'm into, what do you call it? Integrative medicine. That's kind of what.
Right. Yes.
I believed it because it helped me. And that's when I found a epidemiologist that was into that. And so he did testing on me, found out that dairy was bad for me.
Okay.
And just things like that. It made changes.
It makes the treatment more specifically for Brigitte, and it's not just standard of care kind of idea.
Yes, bio health, is that the right word? And they discovered
they take a DNA kind of map of you, right?
And that's what they did.
Yeah.
And and it's minus, people think when I have a dairy issue, they think I have lactose and no, it's not. Mine is specific to casein protein.
Okay. Interesting.
Which is like the chunk and cottage cheese.
Okay.
All this was not helping my body. Eating something like that, my body didn't know what to do, right?
Okay.
It was under a lot of stress. And so when I had help cutting all that out, that helped. And then when we found the breast cancer again, it was a thing called a breast tail, which is in your armpit. I did not know that existed. I thought it was my lymph node.
Okay.
So thank God it was not. It wasn't.
Yeah, lymph node is kind of like a death sentence. I know.
So they tested my lymph nodes.
Yeah.
So I ended up on my 49th birthday. I had, because of all that stuff, I had all the testing. It was aggressive. Uh-oh. So I'm like, I am not dealing with this crap ever again. So I had a double mastectomy on my 49th birthday.
Wow.
And before I did that, my son ran. I love to run, by the way, because it's therapeutic mentally too for me.
Totally.
And they ran a race with me 2 weeks before. They were 16 and 19 at that time, but they're always there with their mother just to make sure she was okay. And they ran the race with me, and it was the best experience ever. And my doctors, they were really supportive. And after the all that breast cancer crap, everything is, I shouldn't say crap, but
you should.
But I would not be here if I didn't ask a lot of questions. And
totally.
And the breast cancer doctor, he said I'm one of those considered an anomaly. I'm a zebra among horses because I did everything right. And I had this weird stuff happen. And it's because of an environmental issue, but somehow that radiation exposure at some point in my life when I was young causes weird stuff.
Wow.
But because I'm stubborn and persistent and ask questions, we found and I'm glad technology in the medical field, they're understanding this now too. They customized it for me and ended up, what finally actually killed the brain tumor was a tetanus booster shot.
What?
They're repurposing that Tdap, the tetanus.
Yeah.
For brain tumors isn't that awesome?
What?
Exactly. So, and that's what
okay.
All these weird things
that's
that are
totally random.
Right. It was my OBGYN. She's the one that's helped find all these things for me. I trusted her. She had breast cancer too. That's why we became like buddies in a way.
So you were health advocate buddies. Like, no, you got to do this.
We were health advocate buddies. And she's like, Brigitte, here's your checkup. And even after the last breast cancer and the chemotherapy, I still have to have my brain tumor monitored, and it was growing again.
Uh-oh.
After chemo, I'm like, Jesus, because we didn't know what was going to happen. So that's when she said, here's your checkup. We're going to do your booster shot, and it can help, and possibly, who knows, help with the brain tumor. And it died. So isn't that weird? It's
so
still
just
there,
an ordinary Tdap shot cured your cancer.
In my brain. Yeah, the brain tumor thing.
I get it. But wow.
And it's
that's nuts.
So I'm thinking, why not? And because I'm at that, and then it's just weird, bizarre stuff. But I think being positive and being curious, and you have to acknowledge all this going on, the bad stuff to help you move forward. But during all this, I didn't mention, it's when my clients suggested I do my own thing. Start Gemini Media. That's what happened during my last cancer treatment. I did this because I did have a corporate job.
Right.
And I got laid off along with other people because of private equity buyout kind of stuff. And I had a lot of dollar signs next to my name. And so, you know what I'm saying?
The expensive people go first. Yes.
That's what, it was not just me, but a lot of us went. And I understand that. But then I knew I wasn't the right thing to do to look for a job. Other people need to have those kind of things. And that's kind of like, I'm going to do my own thing. And that's kind of like, and my clients recommended I do that. And they were it helped with your confidence when you're going through health issue like that. Right.
Oh, yeah.
It really
You've
helped
got a community like backing you up kind of
you
thing.
Needed that. And it wasn't, they understood it, and it helped me activate my brain. And it's important to keep using it. And I'm so lucky. And then after all that, I still run a lot, and I had to have physical therapy because all that surgery and all that, your body has to adapt. But with brain stuff, you probably almost have to relearn how to run your body. I had to because
it's almost like you got a stroke, right?
It messed up my balance, and that's the down.
Right.
side of that kind of tumor is it could, even though it's not considered cancer, it could still be deadly, and it could cause encephal, but that's why you still have to have my MRIs are every 2 years now, thank God, not every 6 months or 1 year, because it's shrunken, it's dormant, and I don't have any symptoms.
Wow.
But it's
still there. It's in the background.
I call it the mofo, but it's still there.
Wow.
I have to make jokes about it. But
you do. Yes.
It helped to have, my goal was to be there for my kids when they graduated high school. I'm there after I graduated college, right? And so I'm still here, and I'm able to run, and I'm helping my clients. And
so let's talk about like the nutrition piece, because I know there's nutrition and then there's also movement. So talk a little bit about that stuff.
Well, I learned, I got into intuitively, I've always liked vegetables, and people made fun of me because that's my body and my brain telling me, eat that, you need it. But our American diet is not.
It's pretty horrible.
Into that.
Right.
It is horrible. And so that's why I went, when I learned that, after I learned about the dairy stuff, and because they even tested me for celiac disease. I don't have it.
Okay.
It was dairy.
It's just dairy. Okay.
It was just dairy, it's gluten. It was not an issue, excuse me. So that's why I went to study nutrition. I wanted to get wanted to understand it and how it affects your body and why I crave certain things. And I learned that the veggies that I wanted was going to help me heal. And I learned to cut out. I've never been good at caffeine, to be honest with you, because I would go run, half a marathon so that's my body. I learned that it increases your cortisol levels, which increases your stress levels, which your body is just constantly fighting things. And that's why you have to me, I call it the 3 pillars of health. It is nutrition and movement and rest, right?
For sure.
And rest is not just sleeping. You also have to but you got to balance I call it a rhythm. People call it a balance, but I like to call it a rhythm with your life. So I've learned my sons grew up, me always making vegetables anyway. I like it. And I've learned a certain kind of protein that I prefer is not beef, because it's harder for me. It just based on my individual Brigitte here.
Right.
Where it takes me longer to digest. It'll make me tired and want to rest.
All right.
And, but I've always craved, I want to have fish and chicken, but that's easier to digest.
Yeah.
And then I learned to not to snack too much.
Okay.
Because we get it, right? But not
that's the emotional eating thing. Yes. Where you're not hungry. You're just bored.
And I noticed I was snacking again during COVID, to be honest.
Of course. Yeah. Because you're bored. Yeah.
Like I wasn't doing my normal stuff.
Right. I've always noticed, like, if you want to sit and watch TV, I'll usually I don't even think about it. I just get up and go grab a snack. It's like, this is what you do when you watch TV. You snack.
Right. And
it's like these two things go together. TV, snack. Yeah.
It's your brain kind of correlated. And, and I've learned to also, I got to get back into doing massages more consistently because of COVID, everything was shut down. But that helped too with the healing.
Yeah.
It's part of to me, that I consider that part of the rest pillar.
Sure.
And then the movement part, it helped. It's not just physically, but mentally, but did help with the healing process. And you got to help with the cardio. I like to run because I think it's fun. Sorry.
It is fun. Yeah.
And it's very, it makes me happy afterwards. And I've tried biking, but biking is hard for me because of the brain tumor.
Really?
Because I'm on a
gotcha.
piece of equipment. And one of the things I do, I can get tired easier on a bike because my right side of my brain is over balancing. It's kind of, does that make sense? It's trying to overwork. So I've learned so that I can bike maybe if I'm on a recumbent bike inside, but outside it's harder for me. And if that makes sense.
No, yeah.
And I've swimming. I like to swim, but I don't do it as much. But the thing that makes me the happiest though is being outside and running or hiking and walking.
Yeah.
And that's, you've got to find that.
I'm with you. I think my favorite thing to do now is to walk in nature.
Yes.
Or hike, you can't always do that, weather dependent. So you have to have a plan B, right? So in Vegas, this is probably not the best solution, but what we usually do is walk. Like, you remember when we were kids and old people would go to the mall after they had a heart attack and walk in the mall. So I'm a casino mall walker.
There's nothing, and it's perfect.
Well, my thing is, yes, I need to walk. But people smoke in casinos, so that's my one thing.
Oh, really?
My one wish. Yeah, when I get back from the casino and mall walk, my clothes smell like cigarettes.
Oh yeah.
So that means I'm breathing in secondhand smoke that whole time that I'm walking.
Especially if you're indoors.
Yeah.
Indoors.
Now I don't know how bad it is because I know they have really good air handlers, but if the stink is on my shirt, it's probably in my lungs, right?
Right. That's the downside of
right. Yeah. But it's only 3 months, so
it's all right. And outdoor stuff, I think I find it.
There's something about nature that's good for your brain.
I like walking with my dogs because they remind you to be in the moment, right? That's one thing I think we try to. I've learned to not go, right?
Right.
I just be in the moment, and that's one of the reasons why I don't drink caffeine because I will go.
Yeah.
And our metabolism, we each have different metabolism, and people are shocked that I don't drink coffee. I'm like, why would I drink coffee? Right? Because it makes me. If you don't
need it, then don't have it.
It's not, I naturally have the higher metabolism, which is fine.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
And at the same time, though, I've had coffee in the past. That's what I've learned. And the doctor, the one that was the diet stuff is like, you don't need that. And
you don't need that.
But I think
you don't need dairy and you don't need coffee. Yeah.
Doing that kind of DNA testing and all that, it's going to help you.
I think in the future, you're going to see this more. It's like, they're calling it like medicine 3.0 maybe, where everything,
right.
Yeah. Integrative. It's just going to be,
integrative is what I like to call it.
Hopefully someday, slowly everything will be tailored to you. Right.
It will be. And that's what I think, what I've noticed, I just got back from a trip from France too for vacation. My mother's French, so we visited the family. And I noticed that I thought I was going to gain weight, Jeffrey, but I actually lost 3 pounds because I was eating more, but I was even moving even more over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's because their transportation system there is different than ours. You walk everywhere. Everything is.
Trains and walking, right?
And their food quality is better there. If that makes sense.
Yes.
That's probably why my
everything you eat all the time is always better. It's just like, why would anybody ever want to live in the States? I get it.
Right. And but I actually lost a couple pounds. So I was so happy about that. But
unless of course you go to Italy and just eat nothing but pasta and bread, then that's okay. Just get bigger pants. Just
as long as you're moving, right? As long as you're moving to burn the calories.
What was that? Eat, love, pray, right? It was just
that's a good book.
Just, get bigger pants. It's not going to be forever.
Correct. And that's why when I was in France, I was and with the best meal, my aunt made a lot of food for us, but the best meal, which I think is hilarious, we were walking around in Paris. We were probably starving too. We stopped and ate. I got a hamburger and some fries. It was the best thing ever because I think it was the quality of the meat.
And the bread was probably made that day.
Fresh bread.
Yeah.
And I don't normally eat that here in the US, but I'm like, I'm in France. And it was it just tasted so good.
I bet you those fries were probably cooked in duck fat or something.
And it was really thick pieces. Not like the skinny. It was they call it frites.
Yeah. Pommes frites.
Yes. Oh my God. It was so good. But, even though I had seafood and everything, the memory that I remember the most is the hamburger. Isn't it hilarious?
Yeah.
At a Paris restaurant.
Yeah.
We were baking hot. We needed to get inside. It was hot there too.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
out
Bridget,
there.
this has been a blast. We're right at the hour mark, so we should start wrapping.
perfect.
We should start wrapping up. I don't know if you got anything else going on, but let's talk
No.
about Gemini Media and how people can best get in touch with Brigitte Cutshall.
Well, Gemini Media, you can find me on LinkedIn.com
Okay.
and my name, Brigitte Cutshall. And then you can also go to my site, BridgetteCutshall.com, and I'll spell it BrigitteCutshall.com. Last year I combined Gemini and Bridget into the same website.
Okay.
Just to make it more efficient because it talks
You don't
about
need
what
two
I offer.
websites.
I'm sorry, it just makes it simpler to worry about one website and not multiples.
I concur.
And it just gives you my background and what I do. But most of the stuff I can, I have a link on there if you want to schedule a time with me. Now my LinkedIn page was updated to call me the crazy book lady because it could be funny because I love books, but I want to help people if they want to do their books, but at the same time offer to help other types of, repurposing that content.
I love it. Bridget, this has been a blast. Two Geminis talking for an hour. It's pretty wild.
It is, and we kept it easy.
Kept it easy, kept it fun. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, talk to you later.
Thanks for taking the time to ride along with us on another episode of Vroom Vroom Veer. For podcast info and show notes, be sure to head over to vvveer.com. That's VVER.com. Man, that's fun to say. And we'll catch up with you next time here on Vroom Vroom Veer.